Hi, everyone, and welcome to Managerial Accounting. My name is Liz Jennison, and I'm so glad you're going to be joining me this semester. Now, I wanted to make this video for three reasons. First, I wanted to introduce myself. Second, I wanted to share with you a little bit about what managerial accounting is. And third, I wanted to give you some real life examples of how some companies that you know have used managerial accounting and how it can be useful to you as well. So, first of all, I wanted to introduce myself again. I'm Liz Jennison, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information about my background. Now, before I started teaching, I spent 12 years working in the accounting profession. And during that time, I encountered all different types of companies, from small business startups to Fortune 100 companies. But the majority of the companies that I worked with were manufacturing companies. That means companies that actually produced their own product and then sold it. Now, the companies that I worked with made a wide variety of products. I had some clients that made plastic bags, some that made cheese, and I worked for Northrop Grumman, which makes airplanes. So I've seen the manufacturing process of all different kinds of products, but my specialty was in the apparel industry. So some of my clients were maybe brands that you've heard of, such as Billabong, American Apparel, Obey, and Seven for All Mankind. So that's really what I'm most familiar with is the manufacturing process to make clothes. So you'll hear me talk about that a lot throughout the class. But now that you know a little bit about my background and my experience, I want to share with you a little bit about what managerial accounting is and how it's kind of different from financial accounting. Now, financial accounting and managerial accounting are similar in some ways. You're going to hear a lot of the same terminology. You're going to hear things like inventory, cost of goods sold, net gross profit, net income, all terms you've already learned before. And we're going to be doing a lot of the same processes. For example, journal entries, using ledgers or T accounts, debits and credits. That stuff is all the same. Another big similarity is that both financial and managerial accounting are used for the primary purpose of providing information for people to make decisions. But the key difference is who is using the information and what types of decisions they need to make. So financial accounting, you learned, was mostly for external users, investors and creditors. And their biggest concern was, is the company making money so that it can be a good investment for me, or they can be able to repay the loan that I made to them? Okay? But managerial accounting is really for the purpose of providing information to the internal users, the managers of the business. And they're not only concerned with, are we making money? They have to come up with the plan for how we're going to make the money. So the decision making on the managerial accounting side is much more detailed. It involves a lot of planning and budgeting. So for example, they have to set a target for, this is how much money we want to make this year. And then they have to come up with a plan for how they're going to reach that target. And that plan involves a lot of different factors and requires a lot of information. One part of the plan is how much product do we have to sell, right? Obviously, if you want to make more money, you have to sell more product. But it's actually much more complex than that. Okay? Other parts of the plan involve how much are we going to sell our product for? What is the price? So if you've ever gone into a store, say you go into an American Apparel store and you see a t-shirt there for $20. Did you ever wonder where they came up with that $20? It didn't just come out of nowhere. There was actually a lot of planning and analysis involved in coming up with that price. So they had to think about, what does it actually cost to make this t-shirt? How much fabric does it use? How much labor do we use to actually sew the shirt? And those are just the obvious ones. There's a lot of other costs that are a little less obvious. And we're going to talk about all of those different costs throughout our class. And that is how managerial accounting is going to be able to help you set a price for your product so that you can make the money that you need. In addition to that, you have to come up with, which products are we going to sell? We have limited resources. we can't make every product out there. We have to pick and choose the most profitable ones. So, for example, Apple in 2018 announced that they were going to discontinue production of the iPhone X. They'd only come out with it in 2017, so it'd only been around for a year. And they already decided, nope, it's not profitable. We've come up with something better, the iPhone XS, that we're going to focus on instead. Okay, they used managerial accounting to make that decision. Similarly, companies need to figure out if they're going to close out unprofitable stores. So, for example, Subway restaurants closed 500 of their restaurant locations during 2018. They used managerial accounting to make that decision because those stores were no longer profitable. They wanted to spend time focusing on the more profitable stores. On the flip side, some companies are actually growing and they need to figure out a plan for how they're going to accommodate that growth. So, for example, Toyota and Mazda decided to open up a new manufacturing factory in the state of Alabama. They used managerial accounting information to make that decision. So this is just, a little handful of examples to show you how real companies use managerial accounting. But now you guys are business majors. And that means someday you guys are going to be managers and you're going to be in the position of having to make those kinds of decisions. So even though I know that not all of you want to be accountants, and so you may not ever actually be doing the accounting, I hope that what this class will show you is how managerial accounting information can be used to help you make those decisions so that you can make the right moves for your business so that you can achieve the targets that you want. So as you can see, we have a lot to learn in this class, and I'm looking forward to a great semester with all of you.